We are going live. There we go. Hello everyone. Welcome to Let's Get Social Live. And we're going to just wait for a couple more people to come in. And then we are going to get to part two. Let me make sure I have, okay, everything's unmuted. Everything is unmuted. Okay, I'm making sure everything is unmuted so we don't have a mute situation again. We are going to get to making part two of McCall's 8447, which is our kind of dressy jogger top. So we did the pants last week with a knit fabric, and we're going to do the top this week with a knit fabric. But you also can see in the background, as promised, I was also able to do it in a jogger fabric, which I will be doing for the pants as well. Hey Dee, how are you? Hey Gaynell, welcome. I'm very excited that you're here. So I'm just threading my machine. So yeah, we're gonna get started. This is gonna be a pretty straightforward make of the top. And welcome. We're going to be getting to it. So last week we made, or last Friday, so not even a whole week ago, we made the pants of McCall's 8447. We made it in what appears to be it's not quite tie-dye, but kind of tie-dye feel knit fabric. And we're going to make the top in a matching knit fabric today. But I also made it in I made just the top so far. I made it in a sweatshirt fabric, and it's a crop top feel, but it has a little bit of a baggier sleeve. And I love the way it fits. It fits really, really well. Again, if you're not a crop top kind of person, you can definitely extend the length a little bit, but the pants are a little bit what I would call they're high rise to some extent. So if you're a person that doesn't like to show your stomach, or you don't like any kind of midriff, then you definitely can minimize that to some extent, because this does come down probably like right at your belly button area. Depending on how busty you are, it might come a little bit shorter, but you can extend it a little bit. I love the way it fits in terms of the sweatshirt, and so I'll try it on, for you when we wrap up, so you can kind of see the difference between the way the knit will fit and the way that the sweatshirt fabric will fit. I do plan to make the pants that we made last week in the sweatshirt fabric as well, just because, again, I like the way this fits, and I feel like they will be giving a vibe. Dee, I'm doing pretty good. I flew back in from Portland today, so it's been a long day for me. I've been up since probably like 3 o'clock in the morning. But I got my second wind, and I'm looking forward to making this. And in fact, I just made this made it like right before we got on live. As soon as I walked through the door, I was like, let me kind of crank this out to see how quickly I can make it. And the fact that I was able to do it really quickly tells me that we're going to go through this live in terms of making this fairly quickly. Thank you all for all the likes. And I appreciate that, because that pushes this out and reminds people that we're on live sewing this. Because those people are used to me being live on Fridays and not on Wednesday. So I appreciate you all sharing and liking. Greatly appreciate that. My marathon. So this past weekend, I did a 5K for the Ronald McDonald House fundraiser with my family. And this weekend coming up, I will be doing a 31-mile hike with my friends, which is why I'm not going live on Friday, because I need to rest up, because I will be out on the trail from about 10 a.m. until about 10 p.m. It takes about 10 hours or so, but there's some prep stuff before you actually kind of dive in and get started. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm a little anxious because I'm not in as good of shape, I feel, from a running perspective as I was last year. But, we'll see. For those that follow me on my non-sewing social media account, I usually I vibe off the energy that people give me from doing the hike. So usually mile by mile, I will be like posting like 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 10, 11, 12, 20, 25, all the way till I get to 31 miles. And I like all the energy that people send me to keep going, keep pushing through. That really does help me, because at some point in the game, it becomes mental and it can take you out. So you gotta channel the energy. Last point before we dive in and get started. So last week, I realized when I was prepping that I did not have the right grommets to be able to, so two things. One, I didn't have the right grommets to be able to put the grommets into the pants, and I didn't have the right color, which I was okay with not having the right color for the purposes of just, demonstrating it. But it didn't come before I left for my trip, so I did not get to put them in. So I will be, and there's no grommets in the top, so we're not doing any kind of drawstring or anything in the top part of it, so you don't have that. Although I did see a version where someone did put in some grommets and put a little string in this top part without the hood. So I guess it's, more, it could be more for aesthetic reasons. If you really want to, have that kind of jogger look, definitely you need that. But I did get the right one. So I just bought this, and this is a different one. It's easier to put the grommets in than the one that I had, which is more manual. And then it came with the little tool. So I will be doing a separate, and then I also got some more string. I just bought a bag of it, but I have the string that will match this for the pants that I'm going to do for this. And then also I'm going to end up using white for the pants for this, because there's a couple different purples, but none of them match exactly. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an update on that piece, because I thought I was going to be able to show that to you today. And I didn't get a chance to do it before the live, because I chose to do this mock-up. It's not a mock-up, because I am actually going to be wearing it. So with that, thank you, Anna. Thank you. I appreciate all the likes. With that, we're going to get started. So McCall's 8447, for those that need a little quick reminder of what that is, let me just show you what that is. And here is what it is. You know what, Patricia, I don't have it in my Amazon store, but I will put it in my Amazon store, because I was trying to think if I had it. Something made me think I had it. Let me check to see if I have it in my Amazon store, because now I actually do think I have it in my Amazon store, but I will put it under McCall's. I'll make a folder called M8447, which is what this pattern is. And I will put both the grommet, the puncher in it, and I will put the string, the drawstring. I have one that goes for top, and which is basically the length is a little bit different. The one that you put in the sweatshirt, and then also for the sweatpants. So I will put them in there, Patricia. So when we wrap up this live today, I'll make sure it goes in there. All right, so we are going to get started. So the first step that we're going to do, we're making the top again to McCall's 8447. So that's A, view A, is we're going to take piece number 1 and 2, which is the front and back. So here's piece number 1 and 2. You cut these pieces. It's one piece cut on the fold. So I'm taking both of those pieces, and we are going to stitch them together at the shoulders. So right sides together. And let me put my workspace, add to the stage. I don't know if that's helpful. You have to tell me when you're watching on YouTube if it is helpful to be able to see my workspace. And I'm going to point it down just a little bit so you can see. Okay, so now when you are doing this particular pattern, one of the things that you'll notice is that it has 2 rows of stitches, and a lot of and basically anytime you're doing like a straight stitch, it's asking you to do basically 2 rows. So when you're doing the shoulders, basically you're putting 1 row in, and then in the seam allowance, or 1/8 of an inch from the edge, you're doing a 2nd row. And what I found is that when I did it in the sweatshirt, I did not do that 2nd row at all. But I am going to do that 2nd row in this knit. And the reason why is because this has a lot more stretch in it than this sweatshirt fabric. And I feel like it will help it to keep its shape if you, if you put those 2 rows in. So I am going to do that for this because I'm using this knit. And knit, you can use knit, just for the record. You can use knit, Ponte knit. Let me see, what does this say? I'll tell you exactly what. So you can use sweatshirt fabric as well, but you can use cotton knit, French terry, which I think would be so cute to use the terry fabric. And then sweatshirt or fleece you could use. You know what else I think might be cute? I wonder if you could use scuba. So, and I bring that up because they are now making, dress clothes with scuba. I'm talking about suit jackets, dresses, and it looks really good. And so for a person who travels a lot like me, and you need clothes that don't wrinkle, that sometimes you need to be on the plane and get off the plane and go right into a meeting. That happens to me a lot. And it's hard to have to sometimes change in the airport because, you can't wear like a suit on the plane and not think that it's not going to get wrinkled. And so to be able to have like a jacket made out of scuba, or, a dress made out of scuba, pants made out of scuba, and it looks so like you don't know it's scuba until you like touch it. And the reason why I know that too is because one of the people that I work with actually got a dress, and I was like, that dress looks really nice. And she was like, oh yeah, it's made out of scuba. And I just went on Nordstrom's and just started looking and saw like, oh, they made a whole line of corporate suiting wear. I guess you don't have to wear corporate, but basically suiting wear that is just made out of scuba. So it made me think like, oh, scuba, you might be able to do some more things with scuba than I typically thought. Okay. Hey, Aisha, thank you, friend, for hanging in there with me. Look, here we go. Isn't that cute? All right, so I am going to now put my straight stitch in my shoulders. I'm going to do 2 rows, one at 5/8 of an inch, and then 1/8 of an inch from the edge. You said, I love scuba business attire. Get you some vintage stretch and sew patterns. Oh, so Julian, let me tell you, I did not realize that scuba could be used to make business clothes. But that dress just, I'm ready to go down a rabbit hole. It's going to be my thing. I'm telling you, I'm getting ready to figure out how to work with it. That's going to be my thing. I'm going to take your advice because I was blown away. And like I said, for me, because I fly a lot, and a lot of times I'm getting off the plane, I got to go straight to speak, straight to my meeting. And so it really would be helpful to me to be able to just, not have to worry about my clothes like wrinkling, or have to worry about trying to in a rush change in the airport. So yeah, that blew me away completely. I was like, okay, nobody told me that was a possibility. So now I know. I've learned. Now I know. All right, one side done. We get ready to do the other side. So I don't have any scuba. So as you all know, I have been on this quest to not buy any fabric until I use what I have, or a considerable amount. And I am making progress, by the way. Making a great deal of progress. But I will have to figure out where I can buy some scuba. I'm going to have to bite the bullet because I'm getting ready to work with that. I'm getting ready to stretch the envelope and work and be outside the box and work with the scuba. Okay, so now that we have, you said it's the 70s coming back again. I'm gonna have to look it. I am gonna definitely do my research, Julia, because, and you know what's crazy? I wouldn't be surprised because I couldn't even tell that that dress was made out of scuba. To be honest with you, it wasn't until she said to me, "Oh, this was scuba. I got it from Nordstrom's. They have a whole line." That I even realized it was scuba. So I could totally, you know, Google it and see that things could be made out of scuba. All right, so here is our top. We've sewed together 2 rows. As you can see, there's 2 rows our um, of our stitching. And then the next thing it asks us to do is to create a stay stitch around the neckline. So we're basically going to just go right around this neckline and we're going to do a stay stitch. So it's basically a regular stitch and we are doing it in the seam allowance. So about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And we're also going to be stitching down this seam allowance. So you're going to stitch it going towards the back. And again, that's just going to help. And let me just make sure it is, yes, 1/8 of an inch from the seam line, I'm sorry, in the seam allowance, which is usually a 1/2 inch from the raw edge. So a 1/2 inch from the raw edge is what you can use to determine where you're going to go. And you're just going to do that, just a complete circle all the way around your neckline. The key thing is to be in the seam allowance because you don't want to have to be worried about when you stitch your neckline on, that your neckband, I'm sorry, you don't want to have to be worried about it showing. And again, this is going to help it just keep from stretching out too much, which will be very helpful for it keeping its shape. I know, look, D, I get the same question when I wear mine, and Abdul has this. I bought Abdul and I the Because I Can sweatshirts. So for those that don't know, Aisha has a t-shirt, sweatshirt line, because I can, and Abdul wears his all the time. Like he wears it like more than I wear it. Every time I see him, he has it on. I'm gonna snap a picture of him at some point. Okay, so now we have put our, as you can see, we put our stay stitch in all the way around the neckline. And then we're going to just put this to the side for a minute and we're going to grab pattern piece number 3, which is our neckband. So I must already have it over here. This is 1, 2, and this is 8 lower band. This is 4. And this is 3. Here we go. So for neckband, for piece number 3, you just needed to cut 1 piece for piece number 3. So you are right sides facing. You're going to fold it in half, line up your notches, and you are going to stitch right across this top. And that's what we're going to do. Just stitch right across the top. I'm just making sure it's lined up. go. 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then once you do that, you are going to fold it in half. You're going to fold it in half, wrong sides facing. So the right side will be on the outside. And it's telling you to press it so that they stay, but I'm going to actually put a basting stitch in instead. So this is what it looks like, and I'm going to put a basting stitch right at the edge. So I'm going to adjust my width, stitch width to 5, and at about 1/8 of an inch from the raw edge, I am going to just stitch around. I feel like that's easier to ensure that it's going to stay in place, particularly with this knit, which can roll and come out of place, I think, a lot easier. Because even that simple, it's already kind of moving. You have a lot of notches, so it's easy to kind of make sure it's all in the right place, but I feel like doing a basting stitch right at the edge will be helpful. And you will have to stretch this too, so again, that basting stitch should be 5 or greater, because you will have to stretch this to get it to fit around your neck, the neck hole. All right, so I have my neck band right here, and I'm going to take my top, and it's going to be wrong side facing out, which is what you see here. And then I'm going to take the neck band, and the seam goes towards the back. You do have, like I said, you have notches all the way around your neck band, and you have notches on the neckline, and you should line up those notches with the you should line up those notches with the neckline. So the notches on the neck band with the notches on the neckline. And you also are going to when you are putting this on, so the other thing that's a little bit different about how they put this neckband on, it's not how I typically put it on, but I followed the exact instructions, is that normally I have raw edges lined up, but this time around I am doing where you're basically putting it on where the raw edges are facing down. So this is the neckband, this is the raw edge, where my thumb is the raw edge. And then you are taking your top, let me turn it around this way, and this is only one way, you don't have to do it this way, but you're taking the top and you are, when you're lining it up, you're kind of you're lining it up, but you are making it so that the raw edges are lined up facing to the outside, so that the finished seam will be faced towards the right side of the garment, if that makes sense. So let me do it and then I'll show you. I'm probably not explaining it well, but I'll do it and then I will show you. So you are still lining up the raw edges. It's more just how you are holding it together. how you're pinning it together. So I'll show you in a minute. And again, this is where it's important to have those notches because you will have to stretch that neckband in place. And so I'm putting clips on all the notches, lining up the raw edges, putting the clips on the notches. Hi, Del. Welcome. Okay. Let me put another little clip in here just so you can see. So basically the way that I have this on, let me just, is the neckband is kind of to the inside of the top. So the raw edges are lined up. You have notches on the neckband, notches on the around the neckline. You're going to line those up. And then when you put the neckband, you're basically laying it on the inside and then clipping it. So that way, when you stitch it and you finish, when you turn it right side out, your finished edge seam line is going to be on the inside, and then your raw edges are going to be on the outside. That's pretty much how you're doing it. So I typically do it the other way around. I turn my shirt on the right side and I put my band over top, and then I stitch it around this way, but the outcome is the same. I did it on this one that way and it turned out the right way. So it works. All right, so I'm going to just do a stitch around. And again, you will have to stretch the neckband to make it fit. So that's where those notches really do come into play, because you want to make sure that you don't end up with too much fabric on one side and not enough on another. And the stitch line, the notches will make sure that you do that, because it'll tell you that it's evenly placed around the neckline. And I'm using my stay stitch as my guide. I'm staying on the inside of it, but because I am doing this at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance is how I'm stitching it on. Okay, and here we go. And the only other thing you want to just make sure that because we put that basting stitch in earlier, you want to make sure you take your stitch width all the way back down to 2.5 or whatever stitch width you usually work with. And this is a little bit easier. The knit, I will tell you. Hey, Divya, thank you. Thank you. The knit is a little bit easier to work with because, again, it's much stretchier, so it's easier to kind of manipulate. But the sweatshirt fabric is not difficult at all. I'm just noticing how much, less, I guess, adjustment, or how much easier it is to just stretch it and it just moves right in place. But I also don't want to stretch it too much because, again, I don't want the neckband to be loose either. Particularly because we're not putting any kind of like interfacing or anything on this neckband. So It can stretch out because, as you know, knit can do that. We are just about done. Down to the last little piece. And there we go. So at this point, you will, so it's got it all stitched on, you will clip that extra seam allowance, and then you will turn it right side out and you will press. And let me just show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like. And you would press that down. But I'm going to cut that extra fabric. And then the other thing that you would do at this point, and actually I'm not going to cut it, you can, because I like it to be, it makes it easier for me to do a top stitch. So the other thing that you'll note about this, and we did it when we did the pants, is there's a little bit more top stitching. So typically when you're making like a sweatshirt or sweatpants, you're not doing as much top stitching, but they have a lot of top stitching. And so before I cut any of that other seam allowance, I like to just do my top stitching because I feel like it's easier to control the extra fabric when it's wider as opposed to being, you know, smaller or shorter. So you're going to do a top stitch on the right. So on the right side of the fabric, you are going to top stitch or edge stitch. Sorry. You're going to do an edge stitch basically close to this finished seam. And so this is where it would be a good place to use your edge foot. So I am going to do that right now. Just do a nice little edge stitch. And because my thread it's not an exact match, and this fabric is multicolor, it is important to kind of take your time and slow it down a little bit, just because you will be able to see it. Unlike this one, the one that I did up here, you can't, I mean, you can see it, but it doesn't have to be as perfect because you can't see it as much. So I am going to slow this down just a little bit, and I'm going to do this edge stitch. So just bear with me for a minute while I do this, because I don't want to take my eyes off of the machine to make sure everything stays lined up, because I plan on wearing this. And I want it to look store-bought, so. Almost done. All right, there we go. And it is done. Let me just clip this little extra piece. And if you could see that, that is that top stitch for the neckline that is in there. All right, so we've done that. And now we are moving this out the way for right now. This is the top. You can already see it's like super cute, right? All right, so we are going to move to pieces 4 and 5, which are 2 of the 3 pieces that will make up the sleeve. So here, this piece 4, which is the front sleeve, and here is piece number 5, which is the undersleeve. And we're going to be taking one piece number 4 and one piece number 5. I'm just going to move this out the way for a minute. And we are going to be putting them right sides facing. Another area where, again, it's going to be a little bit easier to line them up because this fabric is stretchier. So it's going to be easier. You do have notches. So again, you're going to use your wrong piece. You're going to use your notches to help you line them up, line up the pieces. And yes, okay, here we go. So I have my piece number, your piece number 5 is your wider piece. And like I said, you do have notches there. I would start with your notches and then you might have to stretch it out a little bit to get it to line up, but it will line up. I don't know, for some reason my notch didn't carry over. Let me see, did it do it? Yep, it did on one side, not the other. So I got to retransfer my notch for piece 4. Oh, it did carry over. Let me just. All right, so I didn't have to do that. And again, you'll know you have the right pieces because it will line up. So this one is not the one. All right, there we go. So that's 5, that's not 5, and I'm just lining up my notches. Making sure. All right, there we go. So you're going to line up those notches and then you're going to stretch the edges to make sure that they line up as well. And I just like using clips, as you all know, for the stretchy fabric. The pins just don't work. They don't do it for me. All right, that's how it's going to look when you have it all stitched together. So we're going to just do, and again, this is another where they tell you to do, oh no, they're not. We're not doing 2 stitches down this part. We're just doing 1, and then we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to do a top stitch for this as well. So I'm going to just put together both of the pieces. Oh, here it is. And then I'm going to stitch both of them down. And I really feel like the top stitching does add to that kind of dressiness of the, you know, it's the top stitching is, as you all know, it's more for the aesthetic. So if you like it and you're like, you know, I want to make this, it can be a very quick sew if you don't do the top stitching. So it's, I mean, I like it. I feel like it adds something to it, particularly if you use a different color. Like I don't really feel like it added too much to this because I used exactly a matching thread. But if you use like a coordinating color thread, I definitely feel like it can add something. As you can see it, it stands out. And I would just say you just have to make sure you take your time because it'll show. But it's worth it if you take your time. I think it definitely adds to the look. All right, here we go. So I'm going to the sewing machine now and going to the sewing machine. Is it staying on there? All right, and we're doing the stitch. 5/8 of an inch seam allowance is what we're doing, and then we are turning it over and doing a top stitch. Oops. So this is the other thing you have to remember, and I keep doing this every time, which is when you are using your edge portion and you're adjusting your where your stitch is starting, you have to make sure you put it back at center. And I made that mistake several times because you don't want your sleeves to end up too small or too big because you you know, you didn't go back and adjust where your stitch would be. So I just did that just now, and so I realized it. So I'm just only have a couple of stitches in, so I'm taking those out so that I can start again. There you go. And I've lined it back up. And we're going to do this one more time. Again, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So it's Wednesday. I'm so used to not sewing on a Wednesday. What are people got? What does everyone have going on? Is anybody sewing anything? You relaxing, decompressing? And this was a big week. This was tax week. Everybody had to do their taxes by what, Monday? That was like a stressful moment for me. I got mine. Well, I did what I had to do. So I filed what I had to file by the deadline. I usually like to do it way in advance. I do not like to be stressed out at tax time. So that was my reminder. Make sure you're sewing the DBF dress. Okay. I still have to get that pattern. I do not have it. At some point I will get it. Let's see. Driving home from work. That's stressful sometimes. You say you need to be out of this bed making uniforms, but oh well, you're look, self-care, take care of yourself. The uniforms will look so much better when they get the well-rested version of you. So I'm supportive of you getting the rest that you need. Hi, Christy. What size did you cut, and did you have to do any adjustments? Oh, great question. Okay, so I cut a medium And no, I did not have to do any adjustments to the pants or to the top. They both fit exactly the way that I wanted them to fit. In terms of, well, let me say this. So I made the pants in a knit, and I've so far I made the top in this sweatshirt fabric. This sweatshirt fabric fit exactly the way that I would expect it to fit. It's not super tight. It is cropped. It has a little bit of a baggier, feel, but I would not classify it as baggy, but you'll see when I try it on what I mean by that. It's not like super fitted. It's not giving you like a fitted feel. And then the pants are the same thing. I was nervous about the pants that they would, because I was using this knit, that they would end up looking like leggings. They do not. They are also a looser feel. So yeah, I would say that I did not have to make any adjustments. I would definitely say that based on measurements, it is true to size. The pattern measurements, the finished garment pattern measurements, that is. All right, so I'm going to put the straight stitch in, and then I'll do both the top stitches together. You're finishing your thrift transformation for the So Much Talent Challenge. Oh, okay. I have to look at that. I've been out of the loop since I came back from vacation, so I have to look at that and see exactly what is the thrift transformation. Anyone else doing the thrift transformation challenge, the So Much Talent Challenge? We love a good challenge, and I love seeing when people work on the challenges. Hi, Kenya. You are welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, I'm excited about wearing this whole thing with some heels. And I just got some these clear heels. I ordered them last week. So I'm going to try them on with this because this feels like it's going to be the perfect guide for this. All right, so we've done that. And hey, Terrence, how are you? So here we go. And now we're going to put this top stitch in. And it tells us to take the seam allowance, and it tells us to press it towards the underseam. Mine naturally is laying that way. And it is not on this one. On the other one it is. So, actually it is. So now I'll do top stitching. Okay, you shop your pieces from a thrift store. Okay, so this is the challenge. So Much Talent Thrift Challenge is you shop your pieces from a thrift store, and then you have to spend between $20 and $30, and then you can create whatever you want, mix and match, change it up, etc. That sounds exciting. That actually sounds, I can't wait to see what people come. I'm going to be searching that hashtag, the thrift challenge, so I can see what people. When is the challenge over? Oh, you said 10 and 30. Okay. And you have until the end of April. Okay, so we still got about a good 2 weeks to finish. Okay. Terrence, what have you been up to? And D, what has your progress been like on the DF, on the dress that you're working on? The DVF dress. All right, so one top stitch is in. Let me just show y'all. Oh, that looks so good. See, this is what happens when you take your time. Doesn't that look good? Can you see that? Let me take this so you can see this. Can y'all see that? That looks so good. Okay, so now I just have one more top stitch to put in. And again, you're taking your seam allowance and you're putting it towards the undersleeve, which is this most slanted part. So it's got to go this way. So this the wider piece. And I just have to remember each time to adjust my stitch back. Thank you. You said, so for the DVF dress, it's actually really easy, no problems at all. Okay. I am definitely gonna make it at some point. I have like I don't have a whip, pile. I'm working. I mean, I have like one thing left on that, but I have things I want to do, things I want to make list that is starting to form, and some of those things include the blazer with the cutout back. I definitely still want to do that. Erica's pattern. And I want to do the jean top. Like, that's on my to-do list. But I got to take my time. All right, and there we go. We have finished the second one. You can see that. You can see that. Let's see. You could see. So those two are done. And those were the top stitches that we did. And then the next thing is we are taking piece number 6. And that is the third piece of the sleeve. So we did piece 4 and 5. And now we are going to take piece number 6. Oh, here we go. I was like, oh my goodness, did I mess up? Okay, here's piece number 6, which is the other sleeve piece. Piece number 6 is the sleeve back. So we are going to take one sleeve back and we're going to match up our notches. So you have 2 notches on piece number 4 of your original 4 and 5 that you sewed together. There's going to be a 2-notch part, and then there's going to be 2 notches on piece number 6, and you're going to line up those 2 notches. So the back, and I just got to figure out where are mine. Sometimes with these knit you put your notches in, you cut them in, and then they just like disappear. You almost have to like stretch the fabric out just to find them. Or maybe I didn't cut them in this one. But then I thought the last one I didn't cut them in, and then when I lined it up, I found them. There we go. No, I did not cut them. Okay, so my fault. I didn't cut them this one. So I'm just going to cut those. I'm lining up my fabric. Make sure I have it all lined up first. And then I'm just going to cut my notches. You said I can really see you doing something fabulous. I know. I am, Dee. I cannot wait to do it. I just need to find the time. That's because I want to take my time, and I really want to, like, I want to do something really just nice. So I just have to find some time to do it. And I love a good blazer. So, and I've been working on my back. So my back is going to be, by the time I get to that blazer, my back should be exactly where I need it to be, so that I can have some nice little muscles shining through. All right. Oh, you know what? Let me see. Oh, yep. There's another notch down here because I did not cut. You need to make sure all your notches are transferred, because you have, this on these sleeves, you're putting it on, and we're doing the open arm method for these sleeves. So the notches will matter. And then you also have a cuff that you have to put on. So the notch will matter for that cuff as well. So you definitely don't want to skip any of the notches because you need them. All right, here we go. So I'm moving one over here, and we're going to take one sleeve. That's the one notch side. Here's the two notch side. Right sides together, right sides facing. Wrong one. Use this one. And you're going to put them right sides facing, and then you're going to line up that double notch. I'm starting there. You'll clip that together, and then you can stretch everything else to. I clip the notches, then line up the edges, the ends, and then stretch everything else to fit. All right, and then for this one, we are also just doing one row of stitching, and then we're going to do a top stitch. All right, so we did that one, and then I'm going to also line this one up the same. Oh, I love that my top stitch. It looks so good. And again, we're going to line up the double notches. And then we're going to line up the edge. Hi, Cabella, welcome. Hi, Coco Drop, Taylor. Hi, Miss Tata, welcome. Deborah Moore, welcome, welcome, welcome. Divya, you can definitely switch over, or you can stay. Be where you're most comfortable. Oh, you say you switching to YouTube. Hey, Carmen, welcome. All right, okay, so I've got it all clipped. We're ready to go do a single. We're going to do a single stitch, and then I'm going to do it to both of the sleeves. That's going to form our full sleeve, and then we're going to do a top stitch. So 5 8/7" seam allowance is what we're working with here. And I'm going to do both of the sleeves, and then I'm going to put those top stitches in. So I can take my time and make them look really good. I'm really interested to see how much different this top is going to fit based on the fabric. And I'm really, really seriously considering doing one in the scuba. I got to find some scuba though. I haven't ever bought it before, so. All right, one down. Hey, Kay Bella, welcome to YouTube. All right, doing the other sleeve now. Again, 5 8/7" seam allowance is what we're working with. People have definitely had their preferences in terms of like what platforms they like the best. I wish I could stream to Instagram more, but it's just they still have a little bit more to work out to make it more seamless, like YouTube, Facebook. All right, and now we have done that. We are now going to put in, so this is our entire sleeve. This is our sleeve. This is what our entire sleeve looks like. And again, we are doing the open arm method to put this on. But before we do that, we are going to put in another top stitch. To our sleeve, and again, from an aesthetic perspective, I would say if you are using exactly the same color thread, I don't know that it adds so much to it, but because you can't really see it. But if you are using a different, complementary color thread, I would say go for it. Just take your time because you will be able to see it. You said IG keeps adding new features, but needs to fix the important issues. Right? Exactly, D. Like, I mean, IG is cool. Um, but as far as trying to, multicast, adding that as a different platform, it just doesn't work as smoothly as, Facebook and YouTube. It just like Facebook and YouTube streaming simulcast is effortless. And then TikTok, I don't have enough followers to be able to add them. So I just have a separate login for TikTok. But I do TikTok because, people do get on, whereas on Instagram, people don't stay on for very long. So the effort that you put in, people most of the time, I think, just go to the other platforms to watch this type of, sew along. So again, here it is. If you could see that, let's see. You can kind of see. So you can get a feel for like that top stitching. And then we're going to do this other one. Same thing. But I think eventually, it will work. I think it's just taking more time. But until then, I'm not going back. I'm not going to add them for this type of content because it's just too much effort. So what we're doing now, again, is just putting the top stitch in to the sleeve, and then we're gonna work on, I think our next step is, we are going to add the sleeve to the shirt. Let's see. We are an hour in. We are making such great progress. We go. And that looks pretty good as well. Same thing. So now we are going to take here's our top that we did. So this is the top part. And we are going to turn it wrong side facing out. And let me just switch over to this so you could see. And let me push this down so you could see. So you are having your wrong side facing up and you're taking one of your sleeves. Again, we are doing what is called the open arm method of attaching our sleeve. And you are taking it from the edge of that sleeve, that armhole from your bodice piece, and the edge of your sleeve, the rounded part of your sleeve, and you are matching up those two edges. So the edge of that armhole to the edge of the kind of curved or the rounded part on the top of the sleeve, you'll match those up. And then you also have notches in between, So I match up both the edges first, and then you also will have a set of double notches towards the back. So this is the same as, you know, when you're attaching the sleeve anyway, but you'll look for the double notches and you'll match those up. Line up the raw edges, match up your double notches, and then you'll line up your seams, the center seams from the top of your shoulder. You can match up those, and just be mindful that you do have that double stitch in there. So sometimes that, to me, makes it a little bit easier to make sure that the seams are perfectly lined up. And then you'll have a single notch on the other side to line up as well. And then you can stretch everything else in between just to fit. And you shouldn't have too much stretching to do. It should kind of all fit in there. Line up those raw edges. And we are doing, they tell us to do 2 rows of stitches here. Again, when I did the sweatshirt version, I only did 1 row, but I would encourage 2 rows here because this knit fabric is very stretchy and I think it will help with you keeping your form. All right, so I've attached one side. Let me just show you what that looks like as much as I can. Yeah, I can show you. So here is your, you can't really see it because I can't keep the shape, but basically, let me just lay it down so you can see it. You have the curved arm of your, curved part of your bodice, the armhole part. You have that part attached to the curved part of your sleeve, and we're going to basically do a stitch that goes from one side all the way around to the other, and you're going to do that twice. And then you're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to just attach it right now because then I could just do all of the sewing at the same time. So again, you're going to take this sleeve. I have it laying flat out into that area, and then I'm going to right sides facing, match up the edges. Match up your notches. So you have the 2 notches. They should line up with each other on one side of the sleeve to the bodice. The centers in the center of the sleeve, you should have those shoulder seams matching up. Again, be mindful that you do have the double stitch, so sometimes that makes it harder to really line them up. And then the same thing on the other side, you line up that edge just on the curve, the end of the curved edge, so not the actual sleeve. We're really just kind of putting it into the arm socket, I guess is the best way to describe it. And then you can stretch if you need to put the rest of the sleeve in the armhole portion of the sleeve. And again, we are doing 2 rows. We're going to do 2 rows of stitches in this because we are using this knit. I would say if you use the sweatshirt fabric, I do not think you need 2 rows of stitches. I think it holds its shape fairly well, and I can't see a reason why you need to do 2 rows. All right, there we go. And now we are going to, put this in. Hey, Kizzy, welcome. So again, for those that are joining, we are working on McCall's 8447 View A, which is the top. It's like a dressy kind of sweatshirt top. We did the pants, or dressy joggers is what I call them. I definitely think you can wear them with some heels. Oops, did the same thing again. This is my common flaw, is forgetting to adjust my and I always wait until I put like 1 or 2 stitches in. And then I'm like, oops, I didn't do it. I need to just start switching it back as soon as I finish. All right, I think that's good enough. I could just pull this out. All right, that's good enough. That is good enough. Okay, here we go. 5/8 inch seam allowance for the first stitch, and then the second stitch is going to be 1/8 of an inch away from the raw edge. Is what we're doing. And then I'm going to, before I stitch it up, I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like from before we stitch up the entire sleeve and side. So I will tell you that the open arm method is probably one of my favorite ways to attach a sleeve. So I'm always excited when I see that a pattern has that method of attaching the sleeve. I like it. You do not have to do it this way. You can totally do it the traditional way. There's nothing about the way that this is constructed that you have to do it that way, in my opinion. And again, I'm just making sure that as I'm sewing this, that my raw edges are staying lined up. So that is what you see me kind of manipulating it a little bit. All right, one row is done. Okay, welcome. Oh, something happened. Uh-oh, something got tangled in there. Let's see. Nope. All right, there we go. All right, something got a little stuck, but I think we're okay. We're gonna run a practice stitch before I stitch again, so we don't end up with any problems. All right, there we go. let's see what we're working with here. All right, that's all right, let me try one more. Okay, there we go. That's better. Hey, Crystal. All right, so we're doing our second row of stitching on one side. And we're doing that again in the seam allowance. If I end up, the one thing I may end up doing, again, not on live, but after the fact, is maybe serging the raw edges. This fabric is laying pretty flat, so I'm not too worried about bulk. But I'm debating whether I am cutting off this extra seam allowance or am I serging it? What am I going to do? But for right now, for the purposes of this live, I'm not going to cut it off. And there we go. One side done. Again, we just have 2 rows of stitches, and they're not like, the second stitch is not super neat. It's just there. And now I'm doing the other side, the other sleeve. And then before I stitch up the sides and the sleeve part, I'm going to show you, I'm going to drape it over the dress form just so you can get a feel for what we did and what we're doing. I would say that, you know, again, one of the things, I would say that this is a fairly quick sew. One of the things that makes it, you know, a little bit more take time is the double stitching and the top stitching. But it's still, I'd say it's still a quick sew, even with you doing all of those things. It's still a fairly quick sew. So if you want to make it and you're like, I need, you know, I don't have as much time, you could definitely, I think, skip those aesthetic pieces, those steps. Well, the top stitching, definitely. If you use a knit, I wouldn't recommend skipping the double stitch, just because I think it is going to help you keep the shape of the garment. But we'll see, because I will have both of them. I'm also, you know, a little bit, as much as I want to see what this looks like in a scuba, I also would be really interested in doing it with a terry. I don't have any of that kind of fabric either, but I think it would be super cute. And just give a different look. I also think this would look good with a stretch suede too. So if you're thinking about, and I think stretch suede looks good with heels too. So another reason to do that version. Hey, Cynthia, welcome. All right, and now I'm doing my second row. Again, not going to be super pretty. I'm really just getting it in there. One-eighth of an inch away from my raw edge. Oh, did I not have this plugged in all the way? I don't. Hold on 1 second. I don't want to lose my... Try to switch this over. Woo! Jesus. I'm just plugging in my thing. Sorry about that. Making sure I don't lose. Okay, that's still plugged in. That's still plugged in. This is plugged in. That's plugged in. Okay. I want to make sure I don't lose anybody. There you go. And we're almost to the bottom, the last part. Okay, now we have, okay, so here we have the sleeves are on. They are attached at the shoulder. And I want to just show you before, I'm just going to drape this over here for the purposes of you seeing it. Okay, here we go. So this is the top right here. And these are the sleeves. And we have the sleeves attached at the shoulder. So the sleeves are attached at the shoulder here. And pretty much what we are going to do is right sides together. We are literally going to stitch from the side all together, all the way around till you get to the edge of the sleeve. So it's like one continuous stitch. And then your sides will be put together and the sleeve will be put together. And we'll do that on each side. So right sides together facing, you're going to just stitch from the edge of the sleeve all the way to the underarm part, all the way to the end. And it will basically, you're finishing the side and the sleeve all in one swoop. So 2 stitches, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. I love that method. I think it's so much easier, I think, but you don't have to do it that way. You can literally construct the entire sleeve and then kind of right sides together, or you want to put your right side on the inside, right side of the bodice on the inside, and then the sleeve is going to be right side on the outside, and you're going to slide it into the hole, and then you're going to stitch it together from the inside, from the outside. So basically you could do it both ways. And it's not going to interfere with the construction of the garment. Thank you, Deborah. So what we're about to do right now is literally stitch up the sides and the sleeve all in one swoop. So I am gotta be quick. Right now, I'm lining up those raw edges. And we are going to, I don't know why this is not charging. We're going to switch this up right now. I'm just plugging in my iPad because I see it's not charging. For whatever reason, it's saying we're not charging. And I'm not sure why. So we're going to plug this one in. See if it starts. Let's see if it starts charging. Fingers crossed, we don't have no problems. All right, so I'm lining up those raw edges of the sleeve and I'm clipping it together, and we're going to do one stitch, just like I showed you, straight down from the side all the way to the edge of the sleeve. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And you do have, by the way, you do have notches that you should line up as well. All right, so we have one sleeve and side fully clipped, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then once we do this, the last two steps are to put in a waistband. We have a waistband, and we also have a wrist bands that we are putting on. And then we'll be ready to try it on. And again, I'm going to show you both what the sweatshirt version of the top looks like, as well as what the knit version of the top. And I'm going to try them on with the knit pants that we made last week. So we've got it all clipped, and now we're going to stitch it together. And let's see, let's add our workspace back. And let me turn that so you can see that. Also, what you see in the background, that red, you could see that red. That is, I did a what I call like a pre-record sew along. That was Vogue. I think I have it right here. Do I have it? Yes. That was Vogue 1923. I did that 2 weeks ago. I did have some it was supposed to play as a live, but I had some complications with it. But it is super cute. I mean, I love it. It's so much. It looks so much better than I even thought it was going to look. And it's a fairly quick sew. Not as quick as this, but it is not too complicated. I do plan to make another one, and I also plan to make a dress with it. But I wanted to show you all. I put it in the background so that you can kind of see it, get a little piece of it. I do need to post some style pictures with it. And I will definitely do that soon. But I enjoyed making that, and definitely want to make it again. If I had to guess, I would tell you that it would probably take you about 1.5 hours to make it. After you cut out everything. All right, one side is done. Let me just make sure they are not recommending a double stitch for that. Nope, they are not. So we're good to go there. And now we're going right to the other side. Stitch up the other sleeve. Yes, okay, it is charging. So we fixed the problem with the device. And here we go. Again, this is sewing up really quickly. Like a night like tonight where it is 65 degrees outside, I could totally see wearing something like this in the summer when it's like a cooler, early in the summer part, but definitely in the spring. And depending on what part of the country you are in, you could totally wear this, maybe all summer even. Particularly if you did a knit. Okay, so we have sewn up both sides. The sides are in, the sleeves are in. And now we are going to put on our sleeve, our wristbands, and our waistbands, or what we have next. So the wristband is piece number 7. Here we go. Piece number 7. So you have your wristbands, and we are taking them and we are taking them this way. You're going to fold. You should have 2. So you're going to fold them in half, and then you're going to do a stitch down this side. And you should do that twice because you should have 2 pieces. There are notches that you can line up. So again, right sides together, fold it in half this way. And then we're going to do a stitch right down the side. So we're going to do that right now, 2 times. Five 8/7-inch seam allowance is what we're working with. All right, 1 down, 1 to go. And here we go. Line up that raw edge, line up that notch. And then when you do that, you are going to then fold it in half again. So you have it here. You're going to fold it in half again. Oh, if I can get it to fold in half again. Here we go. And line up those raw edges. And this is again where I want to do a basting stitch around here just to keep everything lined up. You do have notches, so you will be able to easily tell like where it is so it won't be twisted or anything like that. But I just feel like it makes it easier because you do have to stretch it in place. And so I think it helps to have a basting stitch to keep it all in one place. So I'm going to do that as well. clip in here, and then I'm going to do a basting stitch. It doesn't tell you to do that, it just tells you to fold it in half, and then you're going to attach it to the sleeve. But I want to do a basting stitch because I think it makes it easier to keep everything lined up. So again, this is what it looks like after you stitch down the side. You're going to literally turn it, fold it down, half of it down, so that then it looks like this. And bear with me while I put a basting stitch in. Again, I recommend it. I think it makes it easier. But you're going to base stitch down along the raw edge in the seam allowance, so you can take it out or not because it'll be hidden anyway. I'll just put a little clip in there to hold it in place, make sure the seams are lined up. And adjust my width to 5.0. And again, you're doing it in the seam allowance. Right at the edge. And hey, hi Miss Crafty. Welcome. All right, one down, and one to go. So we are doing McCall's 8447, view A, and we are working on our last couple of parts, which is adding the wristband, and then we'll be adding the lower band to the bottom of the top. All right, basting stitches are in, and I'm adjusting my width back down to 2.5 before I forget. Okay, here we go. And now we are going to take our top. We're keeping it on with the wrong side facing out, just like it is right now. And we're taking our wristband just as it is with the right side facing out. And we're going to line up. Again, this has notches, and it does have, it has notches that you want to line up to make sure that your wristband is evenly spread along the entire sleeve, lower sleeve. You're going to place your wristband inside of the sleeve like this and line up those raw edges, and then you're going to look for your notches and line those notches up as well. Where the seam comes together, I put that at the where you put the back seam. So the part that does not have the double stitch is what I line up with the seam of the wristband, because there's only one seam in the wristband and you have 3 seams on the top. So I just line it up with that one, and then it also will line up with the notches will also line up as well. Again, you have notches in your sleeve and notches in your wristband. So you'll want to line all those up, and then you'll stretch the rest in place. You will have to do some stretching to get it all to fit. But with knit, it is much easier to do. It took a little bit more effort with the sweatshirt material, but it does stretch fairly easy for the most part. And now I'm going to attach the other sleeve, same way, the other band. Again, you're putting the band inside, so it's right sides together. Line up your notches, line up your seams. And then stretch the rest in place. You will have to stretch it, like there's no way around it. You're going to have to do some stretching. All right, and now we are going to stitch this on. And that will be, it'll be done. Well, the sleeves will be done. And then we'll move to the lower band. And that will be our last step. 5/8 of an inch seam allowance is what you're stitching this at. And again, just remember that you'll be stretching it as you're sewing it on, because your sleeve is wider than your band. But it's not difficult to do. It's just something you want to be mindful of that you will have to do. And just like that. One sleeve is done. And I'm just going to flip this to the other side so you can see it. And there we go. So that's where I have it lined up. You could see that. There we go. And now we're doing one more. It's coming together. Hey, Josh. So this is McCall's 8447. It is what I like to call like a dressy jogger set. It's a top and a bottom. We're working on the top now, which is view A. And it's a long sleeve, like a cropped top. You can definitely modify to make it less cropped if you prefer. It's not, it's not here. It's more like mid-drift crop. And the pants are a little bit hot, what I would call high-waisted. So not all the way up, but enough where you can get away with not showing any mid-drift if that is your preference. So we did the pants on Friday, and today we are doing the top. And what you see here is I did the top in a sweatshirt fabric already, and we're doing it in a knit right now. Okay, and so I'm just stretching this out again to make sure that that sleeve is fitting on there the way we want it, or the band, I should say. Okay, and now we have both of the sleeves on. No real issues there. And now we have the last part, which is the lower band. So for the lower band, you have two pieces. You are going to stitch them together on each side. So you're going to put them right sides facing. for the lower band, and you are going to stitch across this top 5/8 of an inch, and then you're going to do the same thing across the bottom 5/8 of an inch. We're literally going to do the exact same thing with the lower band that we did for the wristbands. So we're going to do that now. We're going to create that circle, fold it in half, put in a basting stitch, and then we are going to attach it to the bottom of the top. The bottom of the top. Okay, here we go. Let me just line up these raw edges a little bit better. All right, here we go. All right, one side down and one to go. Let's see. We're making really good time. Okay, and now we are going to fold this in half, right side facing out. So I am just grabbing that in the center. You do have, again, notches that help you to make sure it's lined up, but I recommend a basting stitch. And that's what I'm going to do, is a basting stitch to this band before we attach it. I think also a basting stitch also helps to make sure you don't have it twisted. So I'm just opening up my seams so when I put my basting stitch in, my seams can be flat. All right, so here we go. This is what it would look like. And I'm just going to put a basting stitch right at that, 1/8 of an inch away from the raw edge. So I'm just making that at a 5. I'm so excited. We're almost to the end. Can't wait to try it on. All right, there we go. I'm like, what is going on? And again, just making sure that those raw edges are lined up. Raw edges are lined up, and it doesn't have to be super neat because, again, it's going to all be in the seam allowance. And there we go. So the last step is to take this band and we are going to attach it to the bottom of the shirt. So we're going to turn our shirt back out to the wrong side facing out. Like this. And we're going to lay it down. Take our band and we're putting it again on the inside, The seams line up with the seams, the side seams of the shirt. And then you also have notches that you can line up as well. So I am lining up my side seams of my band with the side seams of my shirt, similar to, oh, this side wasn't perfect, but this side is perfect. So if you could see this, get it close for you to see. I line up my side seams. So the same thing on the other side. You can see how that's like lined up. And then you have notches in the front and in the back. You're going to stretch and line up those notches. Like I said, with the sweatshirt material, it was a little, I had to stretch it a little bit more. It was a little harder to stretch it, so my seam is not perfect on the other side. It's close. It's close enough. No one will know. But if I point it out to you, you'll be like, oh, With this knit, it's going to be so much easier because it's so much stretchier. All right, just opening up that side seam so it can lay flat. Again, your band is going to the inside of the shirt. So right sides, the right side of the band is touching the right side of the shirt. So it's on the inside. So it will look like, kind of like this from the outside. So then from there, you have, like I said, 2 notches on the front. And you're going to line up those notches. And 2 notches on the back, you'll line up those, and then you will stretch everything else in place. And that will help to make sure that it is evenly stretched out. Your shirt, your band, your lower band. So you just stretch it. It doesn't require that much stretch. Well, if you use the knit. Like I said on the other one, I probably could have done a better job of stretching it. And you can't tell, but I know because the band didn't line up perfectly. And let me make sure that I take this back to 2.5. Because guess what? We're getting ready to stitch this on. I'm just putting a couple of little extra clips in. So here we go. This is what it looks like. Band is on the inside, right sides together. Match up those side seams, match up the notches, and then you're going to stitch a straight stitch. Make sure the raw edges are all lined up, and then we're doing 5/8 of an inch. That's what we're doing. That's our seam allowance. Again, a couple of options that you do have if you don't like midriff is you can make your lower band wider. That's one option. You can bring this part of the shirt, you can bring it down an inch or so. You could do a little bit of both. Those are all options that you have if you are not a person who likes a midriff top. I always say that because I was a person who at one point did not like a midriff top. So I always like to share that piece just in case that is something that you would be interested in. That is a fairly simple adjustment to make to this pattern. Yep, that's what we're not going to do. You also want to make sure as you're stretching it out that you don't end up, and that's what could have happened to me too. I'm seeing that could happen over here as well. You don't want to end up stretching it so much that you don't have your side seams lined up. All right, there we go. Thank you. All right, we are down to the last little section. It'll be interesting to see how these lower band and this the wristband does, because again, we have no no underlying supporting fabric like interfacing or anything. Again, you don't need that for the sweatshirt fabric, but it's possible that it could be helpful for the knit, but we'll see, because we are minutes away from trying it on. All right, and here we go. We'll put back stitch. And we have completed the top. So let me just turn it right side out. Again, lots of top stitching. We did top stitching around the top. We did top stitching on 2 places on each sleeve. We did not do any top stitching for the bands at all. And then we did, I talked about top stitching around the neckline. So this is the top. I'm going to try the top on. I'm going to put this one on first with the pants. And then I will switch out and put this sweatshirt version so you can see what both versions look like. And let me see, did I put in a... I did. Okay, so let us do that. Oh, it's the joggers. Let's do that. Okay, here we go. Let's see. All right, here we go. Okay, so let me turn this out so you can see a little bit better, and I think you can see this a little bit better. Okay, so here's the top. And again, you can see it's cropped, but it's because the pants are kind of high. Again, you can have it down and you don't have to crop it. I like a little bit of a crop, so I'm okay with that. I love the way it fits. I don't feel like you need any interfacing to the band. I definitely feel like it's not going to overly stretch out, and it's nothing that a good wash can't take. Move this another way. Yeah, I like it a lot. I got heels on. I know you can't really see, but I feel like it works well with the heels. The part that's missing, again, for those that weren't on last week, I will be putting in, I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. I'll be putting the grommets in. I feel like if you want to have that kind of sweatsuit jogger look, you do need the grommet, you need the little strings to hang down. So I do plan to add that, but I like it. I feel like it fits really good. Top is also really true to size. Again, I did a medium for the bottom, a medium for the top. It is a little loose right here, but not overly loose. I mean, I feel like it's the way it's supposed to fit because it is a jogger style. It's not meant to be like leggings. And so it does have a little bit of a looser look down at the bottom. If you can see, but I like it. I like it a lot. I definitely like it. And again, the pants also have a lot of top stitching. You can't really see it. We did the little, what do you call it? I forget the name of it. We did the tuck, the pin tuck in the front of the pants last week. So we have those going on. And then you have like a top stitching that you did that looks like kind of like a zipper, like a faux zipper top stitching there. So a little bit of top stitching that you did. And then of course we have the pockets, and you did top stitching along the pockets as well. So yeah, you can't really see it on this, even though I did use a complementary color because it's just got so much. But actually you can see it. You can't see it on screen, but if you look down at it, you can see it pretty good. Let's see. Go back to the comments. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to try on, just so you see how this top fits. I feel like it fits pretty good. I'm going to try on the sweatshirt version of the top just so you could see. I feel like they have, based on everything I've tried on, I feel like they have pretty much the same look. They fit exactly the same, I think. So I'll be right back in 2 seconds. I'm going to just put this top on so that you can see the difference between a knit and a sweatshirt material. So I'll be right back in like 2 seconds. I'm just going to take these heels off. I'll be right back. Okay, so here is the sweatshirt top. Again, it's not, I don't feel like you could get the real look because you don't see it with the pants. So I am going to make some pants to go to this, but I feel like overall it does look the same. You can't really see. So what I would say is you can't really see the top stitching all that well. Because I used exactly the same color stitching. So it's there, but it doesn't give the same look because I feel like it doesn't give the same look. But I feel overall it fits exactly the same as the other top. I'm going to make the pants in this as well so you could really, I think, get a feel for it. I think it's hard to get a feel for how cute the top is because I don't have any matching pants on. But I definitely feel like you could do it with some jeans. Again, it is made to be cropped, but it's not really. It's, it comes like waist. My belly button is right here, and the pants and the top stops right here, and the pants come above the belly button. So it does kind of overlap a little bit. But it's super cute. I like the way it fits. I like the top, the neckline, the way it does. I like it. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Gaynell. Aisha D. Thank you. And can I make you one? Look, I'm gonna show you how to make one. Deborah, Miss Tata. Thank you. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate you. Any questions? And so again, we made this in 2 hours, less than 2 hours. I definitely think that it's something that you can do fairly quickly. I think it's a quick sew. What takes you a little bit of time is the double stitching and the top stitching that I do recommend you do for the knits. I did not do those for the sweatshirt fabric. But if you skip those steps, I definitely think you can zoom through this one. And it's cute. Like I said, it's fairly cute. Pants fit really well. Again, I'm going to put the little drawstring in so you can get a real look. And then at some point, I will take some pictures, style them so you can really get a feel for how cute this pattern is. I recommend it. I think it's super, super cute for sure. Definitely recommend it. Yeah, so I'm gonna make the pants to these, and then like I said, this part is finished. I just have to put the grommets in and the drawstring in. I might make more because this is something I'd like to lounge in, and the fact, like I said, that you can put your little heels on with it is a winner for me, hands down. Any questions? I did make a medium. You said, where did I find the fabric? So I bought both of these fabrics, this knit fabric and the sweatshirt fabric I got from Joann's over a year ago. So these are all me pushing through my stash. I got them a year to a year and a half ago. So it's been a while since I had these. But Joann seems to keep the same kinds of fabrics, but these did come from Joann's, both the knit and the sweatshirt fabric. Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, so the dress. Or are you talking about this, Miss Tata? This right here is what we did 2 weeks ago. I did a pre-record. It is posted on my YouTube page, and it's Vogue 1923. Super, super, super flattering, super cute. I want to make it again, definitely, and I definitely want to do it in a dress. It comes in a short sleeve and a long sleeve. That's literally the difference between view A and view B. Also, what I would say is a fairly quick sew. I think you could do it in an hour and a half, 2 hours. No problem at all. So I just wanted to show you this. I will be doing some style pictures at some point, but wanted you to see that as well. Let's see. You said the one I used for cover up. I'm trying to think. I have to look and see. Let me look through what I made, Miss Tata, and see. Or if you see it, if I have anything posted, if you can tag me in it. Otherwise, let me look through what I did, and I will send you a direct message and let you know what it was. All right, I think that is it. So I will not be on this Friday because this is our Friday sew along. We did it today instead. But I will see you not this Friday, but next Friday. We have a blazer dress. I will be posting some things because we're going to do some prep work because we will not be on all night long. Oh, I didn't post it. Let me look at what I did. It's probably something that I made to prep for when I went to Dubai and the Maldives. So let me look and see what I did, and then I will send you a direct message. And I'll tell you which one it is. I'm trying to think, but I will definitely send it to you. So for everyone else, we will be back in 2 weeks. We're going to do our blazer. I want it to be a dress, so it's probably going to be more of a dress for me. And then stay tuned. I hope to, before that, get some style picks up in both the matching top and bottom for this, and then also the matching top and bottom for the sweatshirt version as well, with the grommets in, with the drawstring, so you can see what the full look looks like. So thank you all for joining, and I will see you all soon. Bye. You're welcome, Miss Tata. Oh, if I can hang that up. Let's see. End now. End stream. Bye.